Hey guys, Saf coming at you with another Raid Shadow Legends video, and in today's video we're going to be looking at the Wixwell path that has just started today. This is an opportunity for you to get a soul for your newly acquired Vault Keeper Wixwell if you so choose to chase it. However, this is going to be quite expensive depending on how deep you want to go in the path. Now this is a hero's path that is based on summoning champions and upgrading champions. So in other words, it is a summon rush and a champion training event. It probably will replace any summoning event that is going to happen this weekend, and this weekend is also a ×2 sacred, so it kind of makes sense that we have like a summon path with a ×2 sacred. That's about as efficient as it's going to get in terms of when you would want to use your shards. The real question is, should you use your shards for this? Are you going to go chase those ×2 sacreds? It's not really part of any sort of fusion or titan event, so it's kind of just a standalone event. If this is your first Heroes Path event that you've ever completed or ever taken part in, well, the concept is very simple. You complete Summon Rush and Champion Training type events where you will basically summon a champion using a shard, or you will train a champion, and that will give you rewards for keys. These keys are then spent on different objectives within the path to get yourself the rewards. Now, what makes Hero Path unique is that there are several paths to get to different outcomes depending on where you want to get to, and some of them are locked behind event keys. So, for example, we can see there is a 3, 4, and a 5-star soul available for Wixwell. However, they are locked behind event keys. So if you want to be able to go down this route, you need to go first acquire an event key. And you can see the event keys here are rewards. So in essence, you have to find the path that is most appropriate to the reward that you want to be able to get and unlock it. What is nice about Heroes Path is you choose what aspect of rewards that you really want. For example, you might not care for the Wixwell soul, but you still want to summon on the ×2 sacred, so that you could easily go in and get yourself just legendary books, or maybe you just want the mythical tomes, or maybe you want the immortal essence. The choice is yours, whereas in other typical events, it's very linear. You kind of get points and that gets you the rewards. You don't get to choose what rewards you get. You get a bit of choice in the Heroes Path. In summary, summon shards, train champions, get keys, spend the keys on the rewards, and find the path that is most appropriate to what you want to do. Now, in every Heroes Path, there is always some sort of complexity. They always change the paths. They're never the same type of paths each time, and this is no different. This one is actually quite a complicated one for you to kind of figure out where you need to go. So I will break it down in the spreadsheet, the paths that I've selected, but in essence, if you really want to go for just the 5-star soul, then you have this path that you should take. You start down the middle, you kind of take the silver, and then you can go either direction, whichever you prefer. It doesn't really matter which way you go. I will say though, I feel like the left-hand side is a little bit better because I feel like the greater artifact oil, where you're going to need for 6 items instead of accessory, which you need for 3. The 6-star speed glyph is a little bit more impactful than sort of the 6-star chaos ore, and you also get gems with a bit of energy here. I think it's just, it feels a little bit better to go down the left-hand side, like a book is a bit better than a potion. So I've gone down the left-hand side for my recommendation. And what you're going to need to do to get the soul first is, well, we need a key to unlock here. So the access to the keys really is either below this one, but this key here is actually locked behind this key. So you still need a key to unlock these two. To get the key below the legendary book, you have to have a key already, which means you absolutely have to go down to this 6-star speed glyph or this 6-star legendary chaos ore. But keep in mind the way that Heroes Paths work. Once you have unlocked one unlock, it unlocks the entire row. So you don't have to then go down the separate hand path to get the other set of keys. Once you've got one of these, either the 6-star speed glyph or the 6-star legendary chaos ore, you can get everything from this bottom row if you want to, without having to go and get the preceding ranks. So essentially, you've got to go down the left-hand side here, get the greater artifact oil, get the XP boost, hit the 6-star speed glyph, then you can buy the keys, okay? And at this point, once you get the keys, that will unlock for you the 3-star, but you still need another key for the 4-star. However, like I said, you can simply just go and get the other 2 keys. That will then give you enough keys for the 4-star. So if all you want is the 4-star, you kind of go down this middle row, get the 6-star speed glyph, get the 2 keys, the 2000 over here and the 2000 over here, and then get your 4-star Wixwell, and then you can stop. However, if you want the 5-star soul, then you need an extra key, right? You need 5 keys for the 5-star. These are only 4, which means you're going to have to go and get one of these side rewards. So that means starting on the left or the right, depending on whether you want the artifact or the accessories, because this is all based on, like, this is artifact dust, this is accessory dust. It depends which way you want to go. The points are the same. There's no difference in points. It's just whether you want to lean towards accessories or artifacts. Again, I would say artifacts, just by the rule of math of you have 6 artifacts you need, accessories you only need 3. So it's double the amount of need. So again, you're going to go down the left. Again, these 2 points, it depends what you want. Do you want the mortar soul coins or the core hammers? Again, I would suggest maybe the soul coins are a little bit better. It's the same cost, right? This is 250, 300. This is 550, 500. Both of these are the same cost. So I would go the charms, the coins, the oil, the dust, the legendary book, and the extra key is going to come from these 2, right? You need 3 keys to get the 4-star. That gives you a spare key. This is where the extra key comes for. Then you need the legendary book and then the 2 keys. Then you can get the 5-star Wixwell. We'll have a look at the points requirements in a moment when we look at the spreadsheet breakdown, because I'm going to give you an exact math breakdown of how many shards you need, how much training energy you're going to need to do, and we also have a calculator that kind of offsets it. That is the route you will need to take if you want to go to the 5-star Wixwell Soul. There are extra rewards down here. I always consider these kind of like bonus rewards. These are the kind of things that you will chase if you're really kind of like spending freely or you have a lot of shards to burn, because it's quite expensive to get a mythical tome and you really need that many of them. 5 eternal essence, 20 immortal essence, like these are not great exchange rates in my opinion, but considering how much of it you need, right? In essence, 5 is very good based on how difficult it is to get 5, but in terms of how much you need from the eternal essence to get something, 5 is a very small fraction of the 300 you would need for a legendary soul, for example. So 5 doesn't feel very rewarding, is in essence what I'm saying here. You do have some superior oils, but again, I feel like the actual more valuable ones are the greater oils. I find personally I never have enough greater oils. I always have plenty of superior, so I feel like the greater is more valuable. And if you really want the avatar, you can go for it, I guess. So, but again, it's an expensive avatar. Most people, I believe, will want to go for the soul, or they will want to go for a legendary book. That's my kind of position, and that's how I always see these hero paths. But with that said, let's take a look at the math breakdown. Whenever I do these hero path breakdowns, I kind of have a very straightforward system. We first map out all of the rewards in a simple table here. You can see I've got a simple table of all the rewards, all the coin costs, all the different things you can get. And normally I structure this based on kind of like which paths are you going to take, if they're bonus rewards, if they're kind of like capstone rewards here. And then from this information, I can construct the paths I think players will want to take. And normally it's like 3 to 4 different ones. So we can see all the rewards are different here. We've got a legendary book for 10,000. It's pretty standard. 10,000 for a legendary book, that's no different. 7,000 for an immortal soul stone, kind of the same. Mythical tomes are always about double the cost of a legendary book, kind of the same. So there's nothing really that stands out as super expensive here. Event keys are always at 1,000 points. That remains the same as well. So what I've suggested is there is 4 paths that players will want to take. Some players will want the 5-star Wixwell Soul, some players want the 4-star, some players will want the 3, and some players will want the legendary book. Now, I will say, if you're going for the 3-star soul, I would go and get the 4-star soul, because I don't think it's much more effort. It's basically an extra 2 sacred shards or a little bit of champion training. It's not that much of a step up to go from a 3 to a 4-star, so I would recommend you do, because at 4-star you get the crit damage stat, which is actually quite good for Wixwell, because he does do quite a lot of damage considering he's counterattacking all the time. So a bit more damage is actually quite welcome, I think. So I would definitely go for a 4-star if you want to go for the 3-star. The question really is, do you want to almost like double your points and above for the 5-star? Is it really worth it for the 5-star? And we'll kind of talk about that towards the end of the video. For legendary book, it's about 3,500, which is a little bit higher than average, because I think you have to go so deep to get a key to get to the legendary book. It's quite expensive to do so. But these are the point minimum requirements that you need to be able to get all these different souls. So let's take a look at the summons math first. This is the easiest one to work out. We plug in the actual paths we want to take, the point requirements, and we plug in the number of points you get per shard. As you can see, it is a summon rush, which means sacred, primals, voids, they are more valuable. And with the hero's path, they've put more emphasis on primals over voids. It used to be voids were about at 1,100 points. They've kind of like reduced them down now to a 750 permanent, and ancient got a bit of an uplift from 180 to 300. It was very much like hero paths were very good for void shards, less so for sacreds and the others, because you actually got more bang for your buck in terms of a void shard. Now it's a little bit more standardized. It's not as good as it used to be. Mystery shards do give you points, but you might as well forget about it, because as you can see, if you want the 5-star Wixwell Soul, you're looking at 29,000 mystery shards, which is just unrealistic. So what does it actually work out like? Well, if you want the 5-star Wixwell, you're looking at 19.4 sacreds. Obviously, you can't summon 0.4 sacred shard. This is a mathematical. What it's basically saying is you're going to need 20. Or you're going to need 19 with a bit of excess points from somewhere. 20 to 19 is what you need, and that is essentially a guaranteed champion point. So you need to make the decision, do you think that a 5-star Wixwell Soul is as valuable to you as a guaranteed champion? Because that is what Plarium are telling you. For the 4-star, it's only about 8 sacred shards, which is, you know, quite a lot still, but that is about the average, just a little bit above for a standard summon rush. So I do think maybe the 4-star is a pretty good marker for people to consider. It's about 48 void shards, 120 ancient shards. Most people are going to be looking at this as a sacred event because of the nature of it being a ×2 sacred event also. That's about 8 sacred shards here. If you want to do the whole thing, it's 46 shards. But the hero's paths are never really designed for a completionist angle. You don't complete everything in a hero's path. You pick what you want, which is pretty much going to be the Wixwell Soul for this one. If you want a legendary book, it's very similar to a 4-star Wixwell path. It's about 8 sacred shards. Again, it's quite expensive, but if you think summon rushes, it's normally about 6 sacred shards before you get to like the legendary row of rewards in a summon rush. So in comparison, it's a little bit expensive compared to a summon rush, but it's not so bad. I have got a little bit of a monetization comparison as well. We kind of put the price of the shard average, so it's like $1.50 for an ancient, $2.50 for a void, $5 for primal, and $20 for sacred. These are roughly kind of what Plarium charge. So we can see that the Wixwell Soul is currently valued at around about $388. $160 for the 4-star, but it is slightly cheaper to do a void shard or a primal route here, as you can see. Like, this is what I was saying about hero's path. If you actually equate it towards a $1 to shard value comparison, it's much better to go a void or primal route on hero's path. It will be cheaper. Even primals, you can see it's cheaper overall than an ancient shard because of how many points you get and how few ones you need. So actually, if you're a spender, it's far better to buy primal shards and summon the primals than it is to go and summon any other shard for this event. Now, training is a little bit more complicated because it obviously involves upgrading champions, ranking them up, partially leveling. There's lots of different efficiency routes we can take. Sometimes when there's a dungeon divers associated with these heroes paths, you can get bonus points as you're training from campaign. But because we don't have it here, I've got the information showing, but we actually remove it completely. You can see we're getting no bonus coins at all. So the way that I normally do this is I am leveling up rank 2 to rank 3, rank 3 to rank 4, and rank 4 to rank 5. That is classified as making food. It's making champions in preparation for a future upgrade. Or you can take the route where you actually make a rank 6 champion, which means we go from rank 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 and then make a rank 6. When we're doing this, we're also partially leveling rank 3, rank 4, and rank 5 champions, and the rank 6 if we were to make it to level 30, 21, 15, and 10. There's some variations here depending on whether you have a Forge Pass, whether you have a raid card. This is a pretty good standardized approach. I did this very in-depth for the Alatrian path, and from the start to finish, my kind of estimations did end up being the similar amount of energy that was required of me. If you had a Forge Pass active, which we don't at the moment, you can see that this would have a dramatic increase as well as a raid card in terms of kind of like how much energy you would need to spend if you had all of these active, but we don't have these active, so we're going to have to drop this right down and leave it as 0 because neither are active. And most of the time I don't consider the raid card, although it does have quite a big impact in sort of big training sessions. What we're going to do here then is we kind of pull it through. We kind of work out the experience required to make one rank 2 to rank 5 fully. That means how much energy is it to take the rank 2s to rank 3 to rank 4 to rank 5. This is done in campaign. It's not done with any brews. So if you have brews, obviously this is going to reduce the requirement for you quite considerably. This is purely through running campaign to get energy and XP that way. And the same thing for rank 2 to rank 6. You can see to make a rank 6 champion, it's far more expensive to make a rank 5 champion. And the energy will reflect that. You can also do it via Brutal 12.3 or Nightmare 12.6. I compare 12.3 to 12.6. I know a lot of people in the past have said you should do a 12.6 comparison direct. I do 12.3 because I think if people run Brutal, they're going to want the silver as well. So stage 3 is better for silver because shields sell more. Whereas when you're doing Nightmare, the 12.6 has significantly lower defenses than all of the other stages by about 25% comparison. So for example, I think the defenses on stage 12.3 are about 4,000, 12.6 is about 1,000, so it's much different. So 12.6 is always what you should run when you're running Nightmare. So we compare those two, and it generally works out that Nightmare is more energy efficient, but you do run out of mystery shards pretty quickly. So that's the issue with Nightmare. So what we can do, we can wrap this up at the top here, and when we can compare exactly what we need. So for example, if you want to get the 5-star Wixwell Soul, you're looking to make probably, let's see, 16.28 rank 2 to rank 5s. So like 16 rank 5 champions or 3 rank 6 champions to be able to get the 5-star Wixwell. 6 to 7 for rank 4, about 1.5 for rank 4 for the 12.6. And then if you want the 3-star, you can see it's not much of a step up. It's a very small step up there. The legendary book is very similar to the 4-star Wixwell Soul. So what we really want to do is compare and offset. Right now I can plug the numbers in here and we can take a look at how it's going to need. You can see like the number of mystery shards you need is obnoxious. You're never going to do this with mystery shards. We've already talked about the shard requirements here. But what we can now see is how much energy you're going to need to do the training. So for example, if you wanted to do it exclusively through training, you're going to need to spend probably on the most efficient path for the 5-star, if we actually put it really well, about 15.8 thousand energy on Nightmare 12.6 to be able to get the 5-star Wixwell. 15,000 energy for a soul. That is what they're currently setting it at. Or it's about 17,000 if you do it 12.3, which I think a lot of people will have to go to because you'll run out of mystery shards. If you want the 4-star, it's not too bad. It's about 7,300 or about 6,500. Now, obviously, like I said, if you put in the raid card, this will help you quite a lot. It will bring it down to 5,400 or 13,000, and it will put it up to 6,000 and 14,000. So you can see the raid card has a visible impact if you take it out. It's a subscription you can get on mobile iOS or Android. What I've got here is a spreadsheet that actually you can use. I'll put this in the pinned comment in the description, and we've got a bit of a calculator here so you can offset how many sacred shards you want to use and then determine how much energy is left over before you can get what you want. We can pick the path that we're going for. So if you're going for the 5-star Wixwell, for example, if you have 4 sacred shards you're going to be using and 10 primals, that will give you 36,000 points. I'm saying I want the 5-star Wixwell soul, so that will take my actual coin requirements down, and then it's going to tell me, well, I still need 10,000 energy to be able to complete that. Sometimes you can also buy the hero coins. Right now, I think in game there's a purchasable option for around about 9,754, about $15. So maybe you decided you wanted to get the 9,750, you can offset that. Well, that will bring your energy requirements down to 8,532, because fundamentally this is a soul summoning event with bonus training. So you're going to be summoning shards and then offsetting it with your training. So what you really want to know is how much offset do I have? So you can use this, you can plug in your numbers, exactly how you want to do it, and it will tell you the amount of energy remaining. So you can see, for example, if I was to take a 4-star Wixwell and summon, say, 4 sacreds, or maybe I got 5 sacreds, then that would leave me with about 2,700 energies worth of training, which is not too bad. That's a pretty good offset for getting a 4-star soul. So that's what I would suggest maybe is the way to go. So the real question is, what should you do? Should you go for this event? Is it worth going for? I definitely think the 4-star is achievable if you have a few sacreds, which you should have had a reasonable amount over the last couple of days. We are climbing Doom Tower, but I don't think we'll reach the sacred at the top of Doom Tower in time, because I think like we're on day 4. I think we've just unlocked level 40. You've got another 8 floors to go, so it's 8 days, so we're not going to get there just yet. But I think if you have a good amount of shards, you can get the 4-star, and I think the 4-star would give him a good sort of break point, right? Because at 4-star, we've got a few 4-star champions here. Let's pull up Newt. Newt's a very good 4-star. So at 4-star, what would you get? Well, you're probably going to look at something like either a Soul Reap, a Brimstone. Brimstone, really, you don't get the extra chance. If you're worried about the blessing, the 5-star is much more valuable because the 5-star makes the blessing stronger. The 4-star is a damage point. Damage gets much better at 4-star. So you can see at 4-star, he would get 600 defense, 38% crit damage. That's quite good as a base level of damage. And he is going to be pumping a good amount of damage because he counterattacks in A1s a lot. I've just got my Wixwell here yesterday. I haven't finished building him yet, so we haven't really got him up at anyway. I've partially booked him, but he will be attacking with this A1 2 times. This will actually produce quite a good amount of damage because of his passive where he counterattacks. So if you want to improve his damage output, then a 4-star soul is a good way to go. If you want to use him for something like cruelty, then you can see that the 5-star is actually quite a significant step up, not just from the cap, which goes from 10% to 15% for bosses, but also how quickly he can scale it. This takes you 10 hits. This will only take you about 8 hits, so you can scale it more rapidly, quicker. And remember, it works on per hit, so his A1 is a 2 hit. That gets you to 4%. War Master would be another proc that would get you 6%. So one counterattack would knock out 6%, versus the 3-star, which is 3%. So it is quite a big difference. You know, it will have a big impact if you want the blessing more than you want the stats. So that's the direction you should consider. Do I really think that the blessing is going to give me a lot of value in my team? If so, then you really want to get that 5-star soul because it adds a big amount of value. And I suppose the final question then is, what day should I summon? there is currently a very unique event going on, which is the summon party here. We're talking about that we've got a double legendary. So the times 2 is going to run all the way through to Monday. So that's not a problem, okay? So you can summon for the times 2 at any point. Really what it comes down to is which faction unity champion do you want the most? Now, I would recommend you wait till Saturday or Sunday. Personally, I don't think Dune Lord Gregor is good. I think he's actually the worst of the lot, and I think he's actually probably pretty bad. I don't think there's much use for a Dune Lord Gregor. Aselin, some people were like, it's going to change the way that Taras is going to make them even stronger. I think what's been proven is it's really not that powerful, as much as it's quite good. And I think that's more of a consequence of Taras getting pushed out of the meta from people like Narcissus and Armands, right? The speed metas come back. That's kind of made Taras and Marichka a little bit less valuable. They're still pretty good, but they're not as like dominant as they were before. And if you take that out, well, Aselin then kind of loses his place. So really, I think these 2 are pretty good. I would suggest for anyone who's like Hydra focused, Finer is probably more better for Hydra focused. If you do want more arena focus, I think Falmond potentially has more arena value, but it is quite difficult to make him work, because you can't really use him in live arena because he's an instant ban, and if you build around him, then, you know, it's kind of annoying. He is basically a damage ultimate death knight. It takes a long time, but if you let him get a few turns, he will absolutely pump out the highest damage in the game if you get him in the right window. So I would suggest you either do it a Saturday for your Hydra focus with Finer. She's very good at resetting, buffing, pretty cool. Or you go for the Sunday and get your Falmond, which is more arena focused. I don't think these first 2 are very worth it, and that's certainly what I will do. I will be thinking about what I want to do, and I would only pull on Saturday or Sunday. That doesn't mean you can't do training in the meantime. If you know how many you're going to do, use the calculator to predict how much training you're going to need to do and get yourself in the window. So by the time you summon, you should just be able to finish the path. That is what I would recommend. But there you go, guys. The Wixwell path. I will be doing a follow-up video probably tomorrow talking about, you know, are we going to get a Titan event now or not? Is this actually better than a Titan event to do it all in one go or not? That is kind of the question I really want to ask and discuss. So we're going to be looking at that tomorrow. But in terms of this event, I think it's a good way to get a 4-star soul. I don't know if the 5-star soul is really worth it. It's quite a significant price increase to go for the 5-star. It's a big step up. It's more than double what the 4-star would cost you. So you really have to make that judgment yourself. And yeah, let me know in the comments below what you think. Are you going to be chasing the 5-star soul, or are you settling for 4-star, or are you just sitting this one out and just waiting to see where the land lies? And also, I'm curious, do you have an immediate use for Wixwell? I've been kind of sitting here going, I don't really know if I have a use for him. I already run a Trunda team. Do I really want to run a Yannicka team? I don't really feel like I do. You could do it if you want to. There's no news of any sort of nerfs coming. I expect they will eventually fix it, but how long that will take is the same thing as how long they will take to fix Trunda, if they do it at all. We don't really know. But I'm curious to know if someone actually has an immediate plan for their Wixwell and what that is. So let me know in the comments below, and I will catch you in the next video.